Some plot synopsis in this video taken from the Call of Duty Wiki on Fandom. Hello everybody, A4Awesome here, and before we start this episode, I have some sad news and some happy news. First, the sad news. Things are going to be changing a whole lot on this channel. We're going to be changing our channel description, our channel profile picture, and our banner. Now on to the good news. I plan to do reviews more often. And also my web series, Project Evidence, will likely be moving forward and having more content soon. Anyway, here's my review of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Hello everybody, A4Awesome here. Today we're doing another Call of Duty review. Since my last one was Modern Warfare, the next one should obviously be Modern Warfare 2, right? So let's just jump into it. Campaign, Act 1, SSDD. We begin the story with a summary of what happened in the last game, so basically a previously on Call of Duty scene. Moving on to the game, it's time to continue the story of Silp from the last game. Or not, as we start off with a different character named Joseph Allen. So during this tutorial I ended up going so fast with my snapping to aim that the game thought I wasn't aiming at all and refused to let me pass, so I had to go slower. Me and Evan literally got stuck trying to complete the tutorial, and when we completed the part we wanted to, he accidentally shot someone he wasn't meant to. So after completing this tutorial, we choose our difficulty. I chose Recruit again because I still suck at shooting games. Team player. PFC Joseph Allen wakes up from a shell shock on the ground. The explanation of this is due to an RPG destroying the vehicle he is in. General Shepard, while reloading his .44 Magnum, notices Allen and helps him get up. Allen pulls out his M4A1 grenadier and fires on the targets on the opposite bank. A tank named Bigfoot is trying to lay the bridge layer. Some Rangers call an airstrike on a white building on the far bank. After some time, enemies with RPGs appear on the bridge. Allen, with some other Rangers, cleared the way for the bridge layer. The bridge layer is laid and Bigfoot crosses it. Folly informs the team to get in their Humvees. Allen gets up the stairs in the bridge and mans the minigun. Where am I? On its Humvee named Cruncher. There are other Humvees too. Some Rangers clear their confusion on which building it is. The airstrike comes and the Humvees begin to run. Yeah, this one. After crossing the bridge, dust covers up the second... Where is it? After crossing the bridge, dust covers up the road and visibility reduces. Civilians run into their homes in astonishment. 3 people scout the convoy from a balcony near a turning. Suddenly, the convoy takes fire. Some OPFOR soldiers with RPGs run on the roof of the top of a school. The miniguns roll, but an RPG hits Allen's Humvee. Unfortunately, it doesn't blow up, and so it backs up and takes a right turn. Militia attacks from all sides, and they drive wildly. A technical appears and starts shooting. Allen takes it out, and the Humvee pushes it until it takes right at an intersection. But again, an RPG hits the Humvee, and this time it is destroyed. They get into an enemy-occupied building and clear it. They come out of the back door and enter the same school they took fire from. So they clear the playground and enter the hallway. Enemies start shooting from classrooms. The team, after clearing them, gets to the second floor. They clear the hallway and then the staff room. They reach the back door and kill a hiding enemy. They run through the lane, and when a group of enemies run across the road, Allen clears them out and reaches the rally point, where General Shepard informs Allen that he will be taking orders from Shepard now. During this level, I was run over by my friend's car. It was really funny. I was walking, and I didn't notice the car coming, and then it just mound me down. Cliffhanger. This level involves playing as a character named Gary Roach Sanderson. We finally see Soap from the first game as he is with us, climbing to the mountain. We also hear Soap's voice finally, and to be honest, it is not what I expected. This level also involves climbing the side of a cliff, and my god is it terrifying. I was knocked off of the ledge when Soap tried to move, and I tried several times. Evan did it first try, which was incredibly annoying. After climbing the mountain, we go through a secret Russian base and go through killing everyone. Now, the next level in the game is known for being very controversial. It was banned in Russia, and several journalists have talked about it. That level is called No Russian. No Russian. This level is the reason I like this game the least out of all of the Modern Warfare games. What happens in this level shouldn't really be playable. Yes, it is fine to have terrorists and media and video games, and especially ones like this where it takes place with soldiers and war and stuff. But playing out a terrorist attack in a video game where you get to shoot the citizens you want feels like it's going a little bit too far. The player is Joseph Allen under the alias Alexei Borodin. Starts in an elevator with Vladimir Makarov and the other three gunmen in Zakhev International Airport. When the elevator opens, they slowly walk out into an airport security checkpoint where all of the gunmen open fire on the civilians, although the player may abstain. The player's movement speed is restricted to a casual walk through the airport. The gunmen move through the airport at certain points. At certain points, the player's speed is allowed to a slow jog using the sprint button. This movement speed restriction was removed once the player exited the airport terminal. After exiting via a gate service area, the gunman encounters the FSB troops. For the first half of the level, the player utilized the M240 and the M4A1 with M203 to cause as much destruction as possible. The UMP-45s, TMPs, F2000s, MP5Ks, riot shields, and M9s can be picked up as well. The only threat in this part of the mission was the police officer, so the terrorists could kill them easily, regardless of any action on the part of the player. Halfway through... Where is it now? Halfway through the level, several Russian FSB teams arrive on the tarmac in the armored trucks. The M203 could be used to make short work of any riot shield users. Flanking them or throwing flashbangs at them are also effective tactics, but they would often focus on other gunmen. During this battle, Lev and Kirill are killed either by FSB squads or by Allen. After killing all the FSB troops in their way, only Allen, Makarov, and Victor remained alive. Makarov leads Allen and Victor to an ambulance, the getaway vehicle. Anatoly opens the doors and is not surprised to see only 3 men alive. Makarov executes Allen, leaving his body to be found by the Russian government. The combination of the NATO weapons and equipment, English-speaking shooters who use military terminology, and the body of an American soldier made the attack appear to be supported by the U.S. government, just as Makarov intended. Now, this is really weird. Like, I'm surprised that they would kill off one of the characters you play as so fast in the game. Anyway, the level is in fact entirely optional, but I heard you can get some trophies from it. Trophies that are very hard to get anywhere else, so I played it anyway, and I did get the trophy. I also played it so that I understand the story 100%. Takedown. General Shepard sends Task Force 141 to capture Alejandro Rojas. Supply from Makarov and the massacre at Zakhev International Airport, which caused the Russian invasion of the U.S. for its involvement in the attack. Having followed 2 militia members, Task Force 141 finds Rojas' assistant. The assistant guns down the 2 militiamen before shooting at the car Roach and Soap were in, killing the driver. Soap goes and Roach chase the assistant into an alleyway, and under Soap's orders, Roach fires on the assistant's legs, crippling him before he could escape into the favela. Soap and Ghost begin their interrogation of the assistant, tasking Roach, Meat, and Royce to search for Rojas in the favela. When they arrive, Meat fires warning shots, telling the civilians to hide. The gunfire also prompts the militia to come out and engage the group, believing that the police have come to finish them off. Battling through the low-level favela, Meat and Royce are eventually killed by militia, leaving Roach by himself. Soap informs Roach that they have learned of Rojas' location and that they are on their way to apprehend him. Roach will not have backup as there is no time to call for reinforcements. Roach battles his way to the upper levels of the favela, narrowly avoiding RPG fire. Ghost and Roach have several opportunities to incapacitate Rojas, but Soap does not allow it as it is too risky. The 3 continue to cut off Rojas' means of escape, but when Rojas seems like he is about to get away, Soap tackles him onto a car. The Ghost calls command for extraction, but is unable to do due to the war, feeling that they have been left behind. Act 2, Wolverines. In this level, we play as James Ramirez. Ramirez, Dunn, and Morgan start off in a Humvee driving down the suburbs of northern Virginia. Suddenly, a BTR appears from behind some tall stances and fires at them. Everyone gets out, and the Rangers in the lead vehicle are killed. They run down a backyard of a colony and get on another blind lane. Dunn discusses the stupid orders of Overlord. They follow the BTR till it stops in front of some barricades. Foley informs them that they are spotted, and Ramirez throws a smoke grenade at BTR. They kill the Russians and continue along a small lane and reach a petrol bunk. They kill all the Russians there, and when some enemies appear out of the Joe's Diner. They get on the main road, and another BTR runs out of the Burger Town grounds. They reach Wells, who is in charge of the situation, until Foley arrives. Foley learns that Raptor, the HVI, has been secured at Nate's meat locker. After learning about a supply drop, he orders Ramirez to check it out. Once he reaches the roof, 2 trucks carrying troops come from a road. Ramirez takes an M14 EBR thermal and takes them out. Dunn informs his squad about a contact to the north. While handing that off, the enemies eventually reach the rooftop, so the team takes them out too. After some time, while all of them are dead, suddenly a UAV fires Predator missiles at the team. They get down immediately, and Ramirez, along with some Rangers and Dunn, are sent to Joe's Diner to get to the control rig. But enemies enter through the back door, and they take them out. Ramirez gets control of the rig and destroys 2 BTRs that were roaming around the road. When Ramirez gets out, an MiG flies by and bombs Nate's restaurant, completely destroying the meat locker. Thus, Raptor needs to be transferred to Burger Town meat locker. Ramirez and his team secure the Burger Town, and Foley, carrying the Raptor gets into Burger Town meat locker. They engage more troops to the north and the east. Suddenly, an enemy helicopter appears and fires at them. Ramirez takes a Stinger missile and blows it down. The second helicopter appears, and Ramirez takes it out too. While engaging troops, they regroup at the U.S. military convoy south of Burger Town. This is probably my favorite level from the game, since the whole level is spent fighting and defending fast food places, which it was just a whole lot of fun, even if I died a lot. The Hornet's Nest. After torturing Alejandro Rojas, he tells them that the only person that Makarov hates more than Americans is locked up in a gulag. Task Force 141 decides to get the person in the gulag. Fortunately, the militia are pursuing them, and due to the Russo-American War, the U.S. cannot send a squad to pick up Task Force 141. Therefore, McTavish calls Nikolai to pick them up. Taking part in intense firefights against the militia, Task Force 141 finally gets to the LZ where Nikolai is waiting for them. Unfortunately, heavy RPG fire forces Nikolai to break away and leave temporarily. As the task force makes their way on the rooftops of the favela, they do a jump. Roach falls short, and McTavish tries to reach him, but it's too late, and Roach falls into the militia-ridden streets of favela. Somehow, through both luck and guidance from Soap, when Roach reaches the rooftops, Roach manages to escape and finds Nikolai's paved low, and jumps to a ladder. The task forces successfully escape and head towards a submarine. During this level, I got a glitch, where someone was stuck in midair and didn't move and wasn't able to be killed. It happened three times, more than 3, actually. Plus, the entire level, anytime there was a dead body, which there were a lot, they were glitched out. I ran into a similar problem in the first game, but I didn't really mention it since it only happened once and it wasn't a big deal. I don't know if it's just this level or what, but this was the biggest area I saw glitches in. Exodus. James Ramirez, Foley, Dunn, and many other Rangers, along with a striker named Honey Badger, start off by attacking Russian troops from houses on the side of the roads. Foley informs the squad to stay out of Honey Badger's path. After clearing out some houses on the road, they spot 3 choppers coming in. They drop troops on the parking in the office of Garden Villa's apartment and start attacking. The team takes them out with the help of Honey Badger, and they proceed to the entrance to a booth of Arcadia, coined as Checkpoint Lima by Foley. They engage troops before they open the open garden. Inside the control offices and clear their way to the objective. After crossing a covered bridge, Dunn notices a C-130 flight crash land somewhere to their front. He mistakenly identifies it as an AC-130. Just then, Overlord sends an order to receive an HVI high-value individual from the house where the plane crashed. After clearing out heavily defended enemy-occupied houses on both the sides, they continue to a golf court where Ramirez uses his laser designator and calls an artillery on the anti-aircraft vehicles. After both the batteries are destroyed, the team diverts to 4677 Bookmere Street to receive the HVI. Foley asks Overlord about what it is and they are trying to extract. Shepard informs them of the HVI and then tells them to check back with Overlord when they are done with their objective. They reach the house only to see that the HVI is dead. Foley notices something is wrong and tells Ramirez to check the panic group, thus revealing the truth. Ramirez picks up an intel briefcase of the HVI and does inform Shepard about the incident. This level was so hard to me that I actually quit the game. And when I went back, I started to rage again. And it took probably over 30 tries for me to complete the level. The only good day was yesterday. After escaping the favela, General Shepard tells John Soap McTavish that he and his group are now heading for Prisoner 627 in a joint ops with Navy SEALs to get a step closer to getting to Vladimir Makarov. However, SAM sites are protecting them from getting to the Gulag where he is held, so they have to take out the SAM sites first. The SAM sites are located at oil rigs held down by Russian forces. As the Russians have civilian hostages, they have to neutralize the oil rig carefully. They stealthily assault the least defended oil rig with the 6th Fleet. After a small submarine ride, the group arrives at the bottom of the rig, where Gary, Roach, Sanderson, and Soap take down 2 guards. After going 1 floor up, they breach a room with 5 hostages, saving them. Then they move up and breach another room, again saving a few hostages. However, as the Russian radio voice can be heard, Soap tells others to set up a plan B by putting C4 on the bodies in the room. Soap and Roach then go to a construction balcony and watch Russian forces enter the room, only for them to notice their kill men and alert others. At this moment, Roach detonates the C4. Then they go loud, and everyone has also removed their silencers. They proceed step by step 2 floors up until they notice that Russians are using smoke grenades, as well as thermal optics to see through the smoke. Soap will tell others to use thermals as well. After taking down the enemies, the group reach a final room of enemies where there are also barrels with C4 around them. After saving the hostages, Soap reports to Overlord and that the rig is now clear. They then go to a helipad where an MH-6 Little Bird is waiting. After leaving on it towards the Gulag, Roach sees Marines taking control of the rig. Then the level ends. The Gulag. The player starts the mission on a fast transport helicopter as the 3 Little Birds converge on the Russian Gulag while F-15 Eagles destroy a SAM surface-to-air missile site on a nearby ridge. As the player's Little Bird flies over the Gulag, the player can snipe on the soldiers on the towers. After landing, the player will fight in a courtyard filled with enemies. Eventually, the player will come across a control room where Ghost will take control. After that, the player will be assigned to a cell duty. After killing all of the enemies, the player will arrive in the armory. Once inside the armory, Captain McTavish will sarcastically ask if there's a weapon that the player likes. Of course, you have the choice of swapping for a weapon that the player likes. The enemies will encircle the armory, so Soap will tell the player to take a shield by using one of the riot shields that are lying around the armory. When all the cell blocks are cleared, the player will rappel down to the lowest floor. After that, the player will fight the shower rooms. After clearing the shower room, the team will advance to rescue prisoner 627 that was revealed to be Captain Price, who was captured during the events of Operation Kingfish. McTavish orders him to drop the weapon and their old friends are reunited. Then the player must hurry to reach the exfil point where the cave-in drops on the player. However, Price will free the player and the team will escape from the Gulag with a spy rig that is attached to a pavelo. Of their own accord, elements of the U.S. Army, including the 75th Ranger Regiment, are recuperating in an evacuation center, which is beneath the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, the site has come under attack by Russian forces that are advancing into Washington, D.C., and the site itself must be evacuated by a helicopter group, Reaper 2. The Russians have captured many buildings in the capital, erecting SAM sites and pillboxes with caches of captured anti-vehicle weapons in the northern half of the city. After retaking the Department of Commerce building, Ramirez and the rest of Foley's squad halt the Russian advance on the Washington Monument by utilizing recaptured javelins. Despite their efforts, the squad is overrun and forced to evacuate via a UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter. Manning the minigun, Ramirez is able to buy the evacuating forces some time, but the helicopter takes numerous hits from SAM missiles and crashes. Making a desperate last stand, the Rangers are about to be overrun by Russian troops as the searchlight passes over Ramirez, blinding him. The cutscene for this level made me scared because of the sound of the emergency broadcast system, which actually made me jump when I was looking at my phone. Act 3, Contingency. After this, the act isn't called Contingency, the level's called Contingency. It's kind of confusing. After Captain Price is rescued from the Russian gulag, he carries out a plan to end the war in the United States. Task Force 141 must secure a route to a docked submarine at the Rybak E naval base, which is near Petropavlovsk, Russia. Price finds Roach and the two sneak past ultranationalist patrols. Eventually they run into a BTR-80, but manage to avoid it by running into a nearby forest. From there, they avoid more patrols and make their way to a nearby snow-covered town and regroup with the rest of the force, where they encounter more ultranationalists. The task force soon strikes the naval base. Intense fighting occurs, and the force races the submarine before it's submerged, which would dash Price's plan to stop the war in the United States. Price has the submarine while Roach and Ghost defend the area from approaching enemies. Ghost, unaware of Price's plans, warns Price that the sub-missile silo doors are opening, but he is shocked to learn that this was Price's doing. Price launches an SLBM into the upper atmosphere where it detonates, creating an EMP which disables electronic devices all across the eastern United States. The EMP succeeds in pacifying some of the most intense fighting around Washington, D.C., and assures the survival of Sergeant Foley and his men from the first battle line, 75th Ranger Regiment in Washington, D.C. The shockwave from the EMP also destroys the International Space Station. Second Son. The player starts out where, of their own accord, left off. Private Ramirez's team has just been shot down by a SAM site and is making a last stand around the crashed helicopter. As Russian forces approach, the searchlight of an enemy chopper whites out the screen. So when the screen comes back into focus, the player briefly takes control as Sat-1, an unnamed astronaut on an extravehicular activity mission outside the International Space Station. Mission Control in Houston requests a video feed from Sat-1's helmet cam. The International Space Station instructs Sat-1 to look towards the dark side of the Earth for an unknown missile, the SLBM that Captain Price launched in Contingency. Sat-1 looks at the unidentified missile that is flying from northwest, which then explodes hundreds of kilometers above Washington, D.C., creating a high-altitude nuclear explosion, which generates an EMP. Removing all power from most of the East Coast, and the generated shockwaves destroy the International Space Station and kill Sat-1. Back down in Washington, D.C., the squad is almost finished off when Russian forces retreat and attack helicopters start crashing. The Rangers are initially confused before Foley states that it is an EMP. They frantically avoid crashing helicopters and exploding vehicles before managing to take shelter inside a building. After the EMP is over, Foley takes point and leads the squad, carefully inspecting each area. The Rangers comment on how quiet the battle-worn streets are and how their sights are disabled. Foley tells Captain Dunn to take a point, and the squad spots an unknown soldier coming up from a building. Dunn yells "Star" before threatening to shoot them for not responding with the countersign. The soldier reveals himself as Private Vaughan, who admits he didn't remember the countersign, which Foley tells him is Texas. Vaughan tells the group that Marshall is leading a strike force at Whiskey Hotel and that they should get there, as he continues deeper into the unknown to look for more American soldiers. The squad enters the building and soon they encounter Russian forces, which they promptly take out despite the nearly dark conditions with their accuracy reduced from lack of sights. After making their way out, they encounter a group of Russians trying to free several of their compatriots trapped inside of BTR-80, who the Rangers kill and leave those trapped in the BTR. They soon encounter another group. Foley calls out Star and gets no response, so he throws a flare, startling the patrol, and the Rangers promptly take them out. They enter the Eisenhower building and find the president's bunker, which Foley states is legitimate. Dunn opens the door and reveals the desecrated area, and he hopes that everyone inside manages to get on time as the screen fades to black. Whiskey Hotel. The level continues from Second Son. From the bunker, the team emerges onto the south lawn of the White House and meets up with Colonel Marshall. Marshall explains and shows Foley that despite the EMP blast Price caused, the White House, now fortified by the occupying ultranationalists, still has power. He deduces that they should be able to contact Central Command from there if they can retake the White House from the ultranationalists. Foley leaves his squad to the left flank to reach the West Wing. Behind a speaker in the Oval Office, they learn that the Hammer Down Protocol is in effect, as the Sun lost in communication with American forces in the capital has prompted Central Command to assume that the city has fallen. Fighting through stiff ultranationalist resistance, the Rangers barely manage to reach the rooftop, and light green flares to signify that to American fighters that the White House has been retaken, and they break off upon seeing it. As the jets fly off, more green flares can be seen across the city, signifying that the U.S. Armed Forces have succeeded in retaking the city. The Rangers discuss the possibility of invading Russia to get exact revenge on them. I actually got really stuck on this level and considered quitting the campaign again, but luckily I ended up completing it. But right as I was like, okay, I'm gonna quit if I lose, I ended up completing it. Minute. No. There we go. Loose ends. Knowing that Makarov is hiding in one of the two places, General Shepard sends Task Force 141 to both locations to kill him. Soap and Price go to the Boneyard in Afghanistan, while Ghost, Roach, and the other members head to a safe house on the Georgian-Russian border. Roach and Ghost's team make their way to the safe house, but are ambushed on their approach by a garrison force using anti-personnel mines and mortars, which kills most members of the team. Roach barely avoids being killed himself, and his fellow surviving members, Ghost, Ozone, and Scarecrow, manage to repel the ambush. Archer and Toad notice two Chiefs attempting to leave the compound, but Ghost orders them to be destroyed with Javelin missiles. They have no way of knowing if Makarov was in them, so they continue through the house. They find no sign of Makarov, only the few remaining members of the garrison, but they do find Makarov's computer, which provides them with a wealth of information, so Roach sets up a DSM to download the information. More of Makarov's men arrive whilst the download is underway, prompting the task force to defend the hardware until the download completes. Upon gathering the intelligence, Roach and the group make their way to the extraction point. On the way, a mortar fire kills Ozone and Scarecrow, assuming they were kept alive this long by the player, and badly injures Roach, forcing Ghost to carry him out. As they stumble towards the EP, the Shadow Company operative reveals the location of Archer and Toad to thermal counter snipers, taking them out so they can't help the duo. Arriving at the extraction point, a Little Bird gunship provides cover fire while Shepard personally walks out before commenting on cutting loose ends. He suddenly shoots Roach and then kills Ghost before he's able to react. Shepard grabs the GSM from Roach before two Shadow Company soldiers soak them in gasoline. Shepard tosses his car on their bodies, setting them alight. Price's voice can be heard on the Ghost radio, warning them of Shepard's betrayal, but a bit too late. This level was insane, from the twist to the fight against enemies while protecting the DSM. It's gotta be my second favorite. The enemy of my enemy. At the Afghanistan Boneyard, Soap continues his attempts to contact Ghost and Roach to no avail. Price states that Shepard is cleaning house and tells him that he's on his way to him. Shadow Company and Makarov's men are fighting each other in a vicious battle throughout the whole Boneyard, with Technicol's Little Birds and BTR-80s being deployed. Soap makes his way through the heat of the battle, avoiding the two warring factions while making his way to the extraction point. Price contacts Nikolai to extract him and Soap with his C-130, which Nikolai agrees to do. On the way, Price taps into Makarov's channels and tells him that Shepard is now a war hero with a blank check and information with his movements. Price offers to take out Shepard for Makarov, who grudgingly gives up Shepard's base of operations, site Hotel Bravo. Nikolai comments on the hectic battle below, and knowing that it is too dangerous to linger around, threatens to leave the two behind if Soap takes too long. Soap makes his way to Price, and who has Rook, Task Force 141 soldier who survived Shepard's betrayal, commander a jeep to escape in. Jeep to escape in. A hectic vehicle battle ensues, and in the process, Rook is killed by a stray gunshot by Shadow Company forces. His foot is still on the pedal. Soap is forced to steer the Jeep into the cargo of Nikolai's T-130 and they escape into the boneyard. Finally, we got, in my opinion, I'm happy that we finally get to play as Soap, because it was really weird that we didn't get to use him much. Just like old times. The mission starts with Nikolai telling Price he'd be ready to pick them up in 3 hours. Price tells Nikolai not to bother as this will be a one-way trip, but they are in a sandstorm while the player, playing as Soap, and Price are hiding in the sand. The two then proceed towards a ridge. Where is it? And ambush a group of Shadow Company soldiers. Soap hooks up on a bridge and rappels down with Price. The two take out the 2 guards below them, standing in front of the cave, and then head inside. They later are forced to hide as a patrol of soldiers check out what happened to the group they took out earlier. They sneak past a group of soldiers having a meeting. Price warns Soap of the 2 soldiers with tactical lights coming down the stairs. They kill them and the 2 continue upstairs. Price stabs a soldier before he notices 2 more are behind him. Soap and Price learn that the Shadow Company soldiers are about to breach the door. The 2 quickly take out the group as they come pouring in. Price tells Soap to take a riot shield for cover and walk along the catwalk while Price takes out the group. They later learn that Shepard is being evacuated. They take out several groups of soldiers before proceeding to a door that Shadow Company soldiers have locked. The duo then breach the door and kill all the soldiers behind it. After the room is clear, Shepard notifies the soldiers in the cave that the site has been breached and that he's going to set off explosives inside the cave to attempt to kill Soap and Price. Price and Soap quickly hack the door controls so that they can get out before the explosions go off. During their escape, Soap is injured but quickly recovers. Shepard then calls in an artillery strike. Danger close, in another desperate attempt to kill the 2. But they still manage to survive and the Shadow Company troops ahead of the duo get stunned or killed. Price comments like Corporal Dunn had early in the campaign that Shepard doesn't care about danger close. Price and Soap then proceed to the Zodiacs as Shepard mentioned earlier. Endgame. Before the event, Captain John Price and John Soap McTavish, why are there 2 Johns, are chasing after Shepard in the site Hotel Bravo cave system movements after the main command base was destroyed by a combined self-destruct in a danger close artillery strike. Shepard, who had some distance ahead of Soap, and Price boarded a Zodiac speedboat in the underground river. Soap and Price board another Zodiac and continue in pursuit of Shepard. Soap drives the boat while Price fires on the Shadow Company's their soldiers. Zodiacs and helicopters, and also the OPFOR militia on the bridges and shores. Price and Soap chase Shepard through a cave, a lake with many rock formations, and the rapids. Near the end of the rapids, Shepard boards a paved floe that was waiting for him in the river. Price tells Soap to hold the boat steady while he can successfully shoot it down at the rotor at the 3rd attempt. The helicopter spins out of control, but the fast-moving current of the rapids keeps Soap and Price from reversing, and their Zodiac goes over a nearby waterfall. After a brief wait, Soap wakes up on the shore near the waterfall, but Price is nowhere to be seen. He gets up with a knife in his left hand and moves slowly towards the paved floe's crash site. The 2 pilots of the paved floe are alive when Soap reaches them. One crawls away from the destroyed paved floe. He will eventually bleed to death, but the player can choose to kill him. The other pilot is found in some rocks. He pulls his pistol out and tries to shoot Soap, but he runs out of bullets. He also eventually dies, but the player can choose to stop him as well. Soap finds Shepard escaping from the crashed helicopter and runs from Soap into the sandstorm. Soap follows him and finds him leaning against a wrecked car. Soap takes the opportunity to kill Shepard with his knife, but Shepard blocks the stab and rams Soap's head on the car, causing Soap to fall on his back. Shepard draws his knife and stabs Soap in the chest. Shepard briefly explains that he lost 30,000 men in the blink of an eye, referring to the nuclear explosion that killed the Marines 5 years earlier in his anger about how the world just watched. He loads 2 rounds in his .44 Magnum, one for Soap and another one for Price. He aims at Soap's head, however, before he can kill Soap, Captain Price intervenes, tackling Shepard and making him miss the shot. After trading a few punches, Price kicks Shepard's pistol away. Soap, seeing an opportunity, crawls towards the discarded pistol. Boney is almost within reach. Shepard knocks Price down and kicks the pistol away from Soap and stomps on his face. Soap, now lying on his back, helplessly watches Shepard and Price fight. Eventually, Shepard knocks Price down and begins to beat him, repeatedly punching him in the face. Soap's attention is redirected towards the knife in his chest. He slowly and painfully pulls it out of his chest and aims it at Shepard. Immediately after, Soap moves his arm back to throw the knife. Shepard looks up at being distracted from Captain Price. Soap throws the knife towards Shepard, which goes into his left eye, instantly killing him. After a moment, Price coughs, gets up, and stumbles towards an injured Soap who is still lying on the ground. He bandages Soap's wounds and at that moment, an MH Little Bird lands. Price, recognizing the pilot as Nikolai, and helps Soap to the helicopter. Nikolai exits the helicopter to exist, but Nikolai says they are international terrorists and they will be looking for them. The U.S. government, OPFOR, Shadow Company, Makarov's Inner Circle, United States Marine Corps, U.S. Army Rangers, and various other groups. Price tells Nikolai that they need to get Soap out of here. Nikolai declares, "Da, I know a place." Mission ends and the credits roll. But just because the credits rolled in this story doesn't mean we are done quite yet. The next part of the game is Special Ops. The game has several little special challenges, most of them just being parts from the campaign played over again with increased difficulty. To be honest, they are freaking hard to complete, but I ended up completing the tutorial and the first two special ops missions. Also, since it's a co-op mode, I have to give it credit for being fun and able to have 2 players. Multiplayer. This time I actually got to experience the multiplayer. Yay! Me and Evan played some offline matches, and this time we had to make ourselves an offline profile. So I named mine Toot Toot, and Evan named his Poop. The online multiplayer was fairly fun, even if I suck at it. I still had fun knowing I was playing with other people instead of AI, which makes me feel like I did something when I kill an enemy. So the fact that I was listening to music probably make any boredom go away, since music always makes boredom go away. In the end, I quit when I was at level 3. Trophies. The game has about 50 trophies. Most are for multiplayer, meant to be earned while enjoying your copy of Modern Warfare 2, but I don't have time for that, so I ignored them. Some are for completing levels on Veteran difficulty, which, I could barely complete the campaign on Recruit, let alone Veteran. Some are for completing levels in general, which are the main ones I got. I ended up with trophy completion of about 15%. There are trophies for collecting all of the enemy intel, but I never ended up getting it all, and I don't usually collect collectibles since it takes forever. In the end, the game is filled with bugs and glitches for mostly the campaign. The glitches really ruin that feeling of being a soldier for me. The game is a mess with the campaign taking way more time than it should, just because of how many enemies are constantly thrown into each level. Each one literally feeling like you're stuck in the middle of a war that you can never escape, because there's 200 enemies in each room. Overall, I rate Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 a 3 out of 10. Way below the first one. And the reason it is saved from a lower score is because of the fun multiplayer and the new co-op mode. I had 12 hours of total playtime in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. For the campaign I had 9.5 hours, an hour and 50 minutes for special ops, and 44 minutes for multiplayer. Overall, my favorite part was the mode I ended up spending the least time on. And that's a wrap on another game review. Thank you all for watching, have an amazing life, and be sure to subscribe and all that, since I'm almost at 50 subscribers. And I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I would love to see, support. I don't have a Patreon or anything like that, but I have some projects that I hope to make, and I have projects I'm working on, and just all sorts of great stuff that you guys can easily go and watch and support. So yeah.